Welcome back, sweet friends, to the channel Frugal Money Saver. My name is Emmy. My husband is Paul. We are so glad you are with us today. It is Tuesday, which means it's Viewer's Choice or Challenge. And one of our viewers, Catherine, wrote into us and asked us if we'd be willing to try making Crockpot bread. When I first read her email to me, I was like, Crockpot bread. I'm going to have to do some research on this and see. So you're going to have to stay tuned to this one. We thought this would be a perfect time to try this challenge out. Because I don't know if you have been in a store and seen the price of a plain loaf of bread. Sara Lee bread is up to about anywhere from $3.50 to $5 a loaf for sandwich bread in a plastic wrapper on a store shelf. So we thought we could make it better and tastier and so much cheaper. So I looked around at how much 5 pounds of flour is. And the cheapest I could find it in our area right now is $2.99. In each 5-pound bag of flour, there are about 16 cups of flour. Now the recipe we're making today uses 3.5. So that's roughly 5 loaves of bread. You're going to need a little bit more, but think about that. $3, you're going to have enough to make almost 5 loaves of bread. Yeast, I looked up the price of yeast at Walmart. They've got Fleischmann's yeast, 2 1-pound packages for like $11. A pound of yeast for $5.50. That is a really good price. And each loaf of bread, you use 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. Do you know how many loaves of bread you are going to get out of that? And remember, you can refrigerate or even freeze yeast. I keep my yeast in the refrigerator in a sealed bag. Lasts so long. This is a great money-saving hack. We're looking to save any way we can. And making it in a crock pot or a slow cooker, as some call it, you are saving on fuel, you are saving on electricity, you're just saving all the way around. You're not heating up your kitchen, because I know a lot of places it's still super warm out. Even here in New York, it's been crazy warm. So this is going to be quite a fun experiment. So I'm going to turn this camera around and we're going to get right into the kitchen to make some frugal, hopefully really delicious crockpot bread. Here are the ingredients you're going to need for your crockpot bread. I have never made this, but I am so excited to give this a try. This could revolutionize our world of bread baking. The first thing we are going to start with is 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. It called for a full tablespoon of sugar, but I decreased it just a little. I did about 3/4 of a tablespoon of sugar. I am putting in a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, but the original did call for a full teaspoon of salt. I will link the original down below. 2.5 teaspoons of yeast, and 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm using vegetable oil. Any oil will work. You could use olive oil, canola oil, whatever you prefer. And that's it, other than some water. We're going to add our yeast, and we're going to add our sugar. And then I'm going to add 1.5 cups of warm water. Yeast is alive, so we want to keep the water temperature somewhere around 105 degrees. And if you have a little digital thermometer, you can check it. I used a meat thermometer. I'm going to give it a gentle little mix, and then I'm going to let it sit for just about 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, I'm adding my flour. half a teaspoon of salt, and my 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm making this in my KitchenAid, but by all means you can do this by hand. What I'm going to do is mix it together and then knead it with the dough hook for 5 minutes. But like I said, on a lightly floured surface, you can knead it by hand for 5 minutes. After about 3 minutes of kneading, my dough seems very wet still. And this happens sometimes if there's a lot of moisture in the air and it is very humid here, or maybe the flour was down by a tablespoon or 2. So I am just going to sprinkle just a little bit of extra flour in. I just want to show you this in case it happens to you. And now we're going to keep kneading. To get our bread in the crock pot, you're going to start with a piece of parchment paper. And I just give it a little crinkle. There we go. Set that right in the bottom. So it's kind of a shaggy dough. And what I mean by that, it's not completely smooth. Form it into a ball and put it right into your crock pot. Now, I read reviews, as I encourage you to always do when you're making a new recipe. I am going to put the lid on. I'm going to put it on high just for 3 minutes. Lid on high, put your timer on for 3 minutes. It's been 3 minutes. I am turning the crock pot off completely. I'm removing the lid. And I'm taking a clean cotton towel, putting it over the top, and now I'm going to let this sit for 25 minutes. On off, make sure you turn it off, and just let it rest now for 25 minutes. It's been 25 minutes, so let's take a peek. Oh my goodness! I was not expecting this. Look at this, Paul.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Look at it. Look at how it rose.
Oh my goodness, I did not think it would be this big. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to put our lid back on. We are going to now turn it on to high, and we're going to let this cook 2 hours. The newer crock pots tend to run hot. So let's keep an eye on this. It says 2 hours. What we're looking for is an internal temperature in the bread of around 200 degrees. Covered it, put it on high. I'm going to set my timer for about an hour and a half, and I will take a look at it then, but we're looking for a time of around 2 hours. I have made bread in the crock pot. I am going to tell you this took me about 3 hours. My crock pot is older, so it probably runs a little slower. Let's see the bottom. This is a hard, crusty bottom. So I wanted the internal temperature. I checked it a bunch of times because I was so afraid that I was going to overcook this. But I finally got it to almost 200 degrees in the center, but it did take about 3 hours, but no big deal because it's in the crock pot. What I'm gonna do now is stick it under the broiler, not on the rack immediately under the broiler. I'm going 2 down, so it's not going to be right on top, and I'm going to broil the bread for 3 minutes, and then we'll check back. It browned beautifully under the broiler. It took just about 3 minutes. Keep an eye on it. I'm just taking a little bit of butter and putting it around the top of this bread. We are not going on appearance this time around because this is an odd shaped loaf. We're going to go on taste. And your middle is not going to have this on it because I tested it so many times. You're not going to have little holes on the top of yours. But look at this. I think it looks amazing. We're going to let it cool on a wire rack and then we'll slice it. All right, we're going to cut into our odd looking but hopefully very delicious bread. Listen to that crisp. Ooh, let's see that crumb. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, yeah. My Vanna White over here. Oh my God, I can't believe this from a crock pot, the crust. Now the real test is going to be the taste. Moment of truth, and you know I'm going to keep it honest. I took the end because that's like my favorite part. I just put a little bit of butter on it. Oh yeah, this works. I'm not kidding. Oh, the crust is crispy. I mean, it's actually crispy. The inside is tender. It's got a beautiful crumb to it. I'm going to be honest. Paul and I did not have high hopes going into this. Honestly, I thought, how could this work? You're cooking it in steam. You're steaming it. But somehow it works because we have got a crispy crust, I guess from the heat of the crock pot, and then sticking it under the broiler for just that 3 minutes. Watch it carefully. Amazing. So now what I'm going to do is some avocado toast. For me, hands down, this is a 2 thumbs up bread. I'm not kidding. Really delicious. Excuse me. I took a slice of our bread and I cut it in half and I just toasted it gently. Then I took an avocado and we just simply mashed it. I didn't even put anything in it. Just fresh mashed avocado. I've got some cream cheese, a little bit of our cherry tomatoes from our container gardens outside, and then I have some everything but the bagel seasoning. Soon as I made this bread, I knew this was going to be amazing for avocado toast. And we love avocado toast. Now you don't have to put this layer of cream cheese down, but just saying, it does elevate it about 150%. So, and then I just take a little bit of that fresh avocado, put some of the fresh tomatoes on it. Some people put egg. We don't do any of that. We love it just like this. And then I just take a little everything but the bagel seasoning right on top. He was working outside and I'm like, you gonna taste test? He's like, no, not today. So I mean, gets lucky. Let's see how this is with this bread. This is so delicious. Oh my goodness, this bread, it just holds up. Rustic country bread. That is the only way I can describe it. It's soft, but now that we toasted it, it's got a little bit of crisp to it. The deliciousness of that fresh avocado with the cream cheese, tomatoes. Yeah, I'd make this bread just to make the avocado toast. Really good. I am not kidding. And this will be Paul approved after he tastes it. I guarantee it. Paul and I want to thank Catherine personally for this challenge. Yeah, it is just so easy. It was so good. Now, I'm going to give you just a couple of pointers. Number one, check with a digital meat thermometer to make sure the interior of the bread is almost at 200. Because if not, your bread is going to be doughy in the middle. And that's what took me time. I kept checking. It took us over the 2 hours of recommended time, but no big deal. I know that for next time. Every crock pot is so different. The other thing I would definitely tell you, the dough seemed a little wet to me. So either add a little bit more flour or decrease your liquid just a bit. As you saw I did, I had to add a little bit more flour because it was just not coming together as well as I would have liked it. But once I added the flour, it was fine. When you're taking the dough either out of your KitchenAid or when you're done kneading it, before you put it in the crock pot, make sure you flour your hands. It is a sticky dough. Definitely use the parchment paper. It lifts right out. Don't put the parchment paper in the oven to broil with the bread. Don't do that. Remove the parchment paper before you broil the bread. And again, we broiled for 3 minutes, but you watch yours, it browns quickly. I'm telling you, this was a total win. So we hope this video was a great money-saving video for you. With the prices climbing on wheat and bread, we need to become good stewards of our money and learn how to make some cheap, economical bread that is also very delicious and easy to prepare. This was effortless. It even rose in the crock pot. I will link the original recipe down below. But again, please, I tweaked it, and you can jot down my tweaks as you go, because I'm just trying to share what worked best for us with you. So we hope that was helpful. Today's question of the day: what are you doing right now as far as saving on electricity, on propane, on air conditioning or heating, wherever you may be? What are you doing to cut back on these utilities? Because this was a great way for us to cut back on propane. We have a propane stove and propane is climbing. This is a great way to make a delicious loaf of bread and use pennies on electricity. So what are you all doing? Please share that down below, because it not only encourages us, it encourages our viewers as well. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us. We ask, if you haven't yet, subscribe, come on in and be part of our Frugal family. Please give this a thumbs up. We enjoy doing this, and that's exactly what these viewer choice or challenges are. Don't be upset if we haven't gotten to yours yet. We got so many in, and keep sending them, please. If you have a great idea for a viewer's choice or challenge, we would love to hear it. Please send it to our email, though, frugalmoneysaver@gmail.com. Please don't leave it in the comments down below. So thank you so much again for being here with us. We ask you to be well. We ask you to be safe. And above all, we wish you blessings. Until our next video, may God bless you.